Everybody, it's your girl Keisha J. Kelly here with another episode of Black College Experience. And it is Thursday. Sounds like a thundering Thursday, a raining Thursday. But I'm excited about this interview because I say the hardest person in the world to get on the phone to get an interview out of. I give this person the hardest time about interviews. But guess what? I got him on this time. It wasn't that hard this time, but listen, I got the one and only, the executive director, ESPN. And if I say it wrong, he's going to correct me. Cricket, MEAC SWAC Challenge, and Celebration Bowl, and Red Lobster's Battle of the Bands. None other than John T. Grant. Y'all know I got a thing about putting those middle initials in there too. I got to have a middle initial in there. But I got John T. Grant that I am bringing on so we can talk about all the great things that's coming up. And of course, you know the motto, start here in Atlanta, end here in Atlanta. So we're going to go ahead and bring on the man himself, Mr. John T. Grant. Hi, John. How are you?
Hi, Keisha, how are you?
I don't know if you can see my little pin. You see my little pin?
I see your little pin.
I was wondering if you was going to be able to notice it.
I noticed it. I noticed it when you had me waiting backstage.
How are you today?
I am fantastic. Excited because we're almost at kickoff for college football. So,
John, we are at 24 days. I can't tell you the excitement that has built up. And the fact that I'm always excited for Black college football, but this time I get to see my own school. So
and I know that you've been chomping at the bit for some time now.
Listen,
and I'm glad that those Jaguars are going to get a chance to see their team and their band here, and especially opening the season against a great opponent, North Carolina Central Eagles.
So first, I'll say thank you so much for joining me today. I know you are busy. I know it's a lot going on. And we're about 24 days from kickoff. And I know it's a lot. It's a lot of moving pieces. So first of all, we'll start off with 20 years, celebrating 20 years. What does that feel like? I didn't even realize that until y'all were talking about it. I was like, oh, we get to come in on the 20th year. What does that feel like?
Well, it's a little difficult for me to say because, this will be my 10th year with ESPN. I came over to launch the Celebration Bowl, and we brought the MEAC SWAC Challenge here in 2018. So from that, I call that the new era. My team and I, the new era for the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge kickoff began in 2018 when it moved to Atlanta. So I can tell you that within that period of time, it's been like a whirlwind. I mean, to take an event that had bounced around a little bit from Birmingham to Orlando, then on campus at Alcorn, and then again at Southern University against South Carolina State, and then to bring it here where it has been now for the last 8 years is exciting. And we're just glad that now, I heard you say in your opening, that we opened the season here in Atlanta with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge kickoff.
And that's crazy. And just when you said that, I forgot just that quick that it has been in multiple places. I remember I went to the one when it was at Southern and South Carolina State. And that match had got real competitive. And then the weather came. And woo, we closed it out. We sealed the deal because I think South Carolina State, they was coming. They were coming for us. They were really, but I remember that game in 2018. Was it 2018, 2017?
It was 2017.
2017, that's right.
It was a very close game. South Carolina receiver dropped the ball in the end zone would have tied the game.
Yep.
And certainly the Jaguars went on to win as a result.
Yeah, I just want to let y'all know that Southern has not lost a MEAC SWAC Challenge yet. Not to say they can't. I'm just saying that's what the stats are. But much like John said, they have a heavy opponent that they are playing this year with North Carolina Central. And Trey Oliver is gonna have those guys ready, and we know that they are gonna be ready, just like we know that Coach Graves is gonna have the Jaguars ready. So now, over the course of time, John, how would you say that the success has gone out? Talk about like the ratings, the TV ratings, because we know that's a heavy thing when you talk about the TV and the exposure for these universities.
We have to start with what was it like when we moved here in 2018. I mean, you talk at that time, the game was kicking off at noon, and you know what it's like in August here. It was. I will tell you that had to be the hottest football game I ever attended, and at that game, Prairie View and A&M was taking on North Carolina Central. But I
Mm-hmm.
saw so much pickle juice being consumed on the side of the lines by the players. Um, and at that time, the game was being telecast on ESPN2.
Mm-hmm.
So you think about the evolution from then to now to where the game this year and the last couple of years has been in prime time on Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. And the game has moved, you consider, from ESPN2 to now on ABC. So we're on a major network in prime time Saturday night. Huge opportunity for both of these great universities. This game is the second most watched game in week zero. There are 7 games played on that Saturday, including the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge. But of those 7 games, this is the second most watched. But the most watched game is actually played abroad. Last year it was Georgia Tech and Florida State in Ireland, and the year before that it was Notre Dame and Air Force in Ireland. So for the last several years we have been, excuse me, turn this off. I thought I had. Forgive me for that. Um, we have been the most watched game played on American soil.
And so to hear that, not just football, we're like not just HBCU, but just in general. Number two, that is a heavy, heavy thing. And that just tells you it doesn't matter who the opponent is, they're turning on the TV. And much like you said, that I remember when it was 12 o'clock. Now listen, it still be hot, it still be deadly out there at that time of day. But at this, like literally, I remember that 12 o'clock kickoff, and it was
Mm-hmm.
brutal. That was the brutal time of the day when the sun is coming, the sun is setting. Do you remember the year when we had the lightning delays?
I do, and that was in 2015. You mean here? Yes, it was in
Yes,
2022.
Alabama State,
Alabama State and Howard.
Howard.
That's
Yep.
the longest game, college football game in history, in my opinion, because that game was with the delays, the lightning strikes, and what most people don't know is whenever there's a lightning strike within about 8 miles, you have to clear the stadium, and there is a 30-minute delay. And if the lightning strikes again within that 30 minutes, it starts the clock over at 30 minutes. So, we the game finally was called at 1:30 in the morning. For the benefit of the players, the coaches wanted to keep going, but for the benefit of the players and their safety. And what was surprising to me that there were still fans there from both Alabama State and Howard who rode it out with us, and it was just an impressive, but very, very long day.
I always say, I say it all the time. I hope it does not rain. Please give us the right weather. I was like, because doing that again from 2022, it seemed like it was so long ago, but it's still a memory that I just do not wish to relive. I don't wish to relive. So now, what are you seeing with both fan bases, with North Carolina Central, with Southern University? What are you seeing with alumni? The excitement that's centered around this game.
Well, we're seeing a high level of interest from both institutions and both fan bases. Obviously, when you start the season as this game does, and you're the first game of the season, and you have a matchup like this, remember, these teams have only met once in their history, and that was North Carolina Central went down to the Bluff and they beat the Jaguars 27-20.
Right.
And I think that was in 2006, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so, certainly there's an egging on one side that they want to even the score, but the other side is, you got two great coaches, and both Trey Oliver and Terrence Gray both know each other. They've coached against each other. Trey formerly at Southern, and now you have Terrence, has kind of made his rounds through the SWAC, and was at the other school whose name he would not even call, but he was at the other school before he came over to Southern, and has won Bayou Classics at both Grambling and Southern. So it's a great rivalry between the coaches as well. But the fan excitement, including yourself, is just wonderful.
So now, what are some of the events you think that everybody's going to be looking forward to?
Well, the beautiful thing about Atlanta is Atlanta makes itself an event almost.
Absolutely.
So people come here. There's a lot of great things: nightlife, shopping, a lot of alumni parties. I've already seen some parties that are being planned by others. We primarily focus on things that are relative to the event itself, and we allow the alumni associations and others to put on the various events. But we do know that Southern's doing a golf tournament on Friday. Um, um, North Carolina Central is doing a golf tournament on Friday. We have what we call the Week of Wonderment. So Thursday night, in partnership with the Atlanta HBCU Alumni Alliance and the Atlanta Braves, it's HBCU night at Turner Field. I'm sorry, Turner Field. Wow, I'm going way back. At Truist Park. With the Atlanta Braves. And then, of course, on Friday, we do have an event, invitation event for our sponsors, invited guests, um, um, administration from the two universities, etc. And of course, Saturday is a big day for us because that's the Coca-Cola fan experience. Listen, it's going to be jumping out there because we also, along with a lot of activities, tailgating, corporate activations, etc., we will have the first meeting of the two bands will take place at the fan experience in a jamboree format where fans will be able to get up close. They'll be able to see the human jukebox and the marching music machine from North Carolina Central sort of face off with each other in a jamboree format. And then, of course, the game is at 7:30.
Is Mickey going to be there?
Mickey won't be there this year.
Okay. Mickey's not coming. Okay.
We don't have Mickey. No.
So Mickey's not showing up. Okay. So now we know that there are talk about some of the partners. Talk about some of the partners because those are always important. Some of the partners for the MEAC SWAC Challenge. And we know cricket. Talk about some of the sponsors, I should rather say.
Well, and thank you that's a wonderful question, and we appreciate you giving us the opportunity to highlight our partners. So, of course, Cricket Wireless is the title sponsor of this game, but we also have Coca-Cola, who is a major sponsor, and I'll call out the major ones, is the title sponsor of the fan experience. Truist Bank. Truist is our exclusive financial services partner, and one of the great things about Truist, they're a great partner with us because they also participate in our high school seminar, which is a part of our Beyond the Field event that we host on Thursday in the high schools, and certainly we bring the two universities there to actually recruit their admissions people to recruit at the high school. So Truist is a great partner with us, along with the U.S. Army, long-standing partner with us as well that participates in our Beyond the Field exercise. Allstate is another major partner that has been a long-term partner with us as well. And so we really are thankful, for those. And I really feel like at the moment I'm missing someone, and I know that I am, but it'll come to me in a moment. But we really want to thank all of them for really being committed to us and supporting, this effort.
Now let me switch over to this. How are the two schools selected for this game?
That is a magic question. We put a little pixie dust and some little agreements, little frog
Like
legs,
we know for Celebration Bowl, we
heel of
know how
toes.
that's selected, but how are they chosen? And it's funny because next year is Alabama A&M and what, Howard?
Alabama A&M and Howard, yes.
So the funny thing is that we get Southern and North Carolina Central this year. I'm Southern, and then my twin sister is Alabama A&M. So next
Oh,
year I get to see Alabama.
so the family's on a roll.
I was like, oh, this is perfect. Now I care about it. My sister don't care nothing about sports, and she hates the heat. So I'm going to have to drag her out of the house. But how are they selected? It was always one of the things. I'm like, how do they select who gets to come?
Well, and that's a very good question because obviously we look at, and as you notice, we have our matchup set
Mm-hmm.
several years out. So
Correct.
this matchup, not thinking about the 20 years, but this matchup was put together back in 2019. I'm
Right.
sorry, 2019. Yes, is when we had the conversations to bring these two schools together. But we really look at a number of factors. We start first with what's going to be interesting to fans,
Mm-hmm.
and that will get people excited. Then we look at the region and geography. We try to put something together where within a 6 hour drive, because within about 6 hours, that's a driving distance, for fans. So we look at that. That's one of the things that we consider. We consider, fan bases. What's the excitement around the fan bases? Do they travel? Will they come and support the institutions? We look at performance, team performance, because that matters. Does the team have a pretty good program? Has it been a winning program? It doesn't have to be exactly winning at the moment, but any program has its ups and downs. But that matchup makes a difference, and we also have to think in terms of what do fans who watch, because our viewers is really important. We have obviously, with the number of viewers that we have of this game, we want to make sure we're putting a compelling matchup on the field that also gives us tremendous stories to tell.
Which makes a lot of sense because again, I know it's the viewerships, it's the eyes, and it is when you get two opponents that everybody are excited, and then you get the bands too. We can't forget the bands. So you get the football team, you get the bands, and people are excited to see that camaraderie. And then of course you get two teams that's going to travel. You got fan bases that's going to travel in to see. It's just an all around good time. Now, over the course of time, we talked about the moving from place to place to place. Can you remember like the biggest logistical challenges that were faced in moving from different cities to Atlanta?
I think the challenge we had initially on making the decision to come to Atlanta was securing um,
Okay.
the teams, because at that point, um, we only had one team determined, and that was North Carolina Central. So to get a SWAC opponent, which we didn't have at the time, it was determined to move. And as teams have schedules set. Fortunately,
Mm-hmm.
and at that point we were playing on Labor Day weekend, the Sunday of
Mm-hmm.
Labor Day weekend. So, my hat goes off to Ashley Robinson, who was then the athletic director at Prairie View A&M, and called Ashley to say, "Hey, look, I need some help. This is what we're trying to do," and he so graciously committed, um, you know, Prairie View to come into that first game, and certainly we had to then go into motion to do all the things that were necessary to get them here. Coming in from Texas, we had to arrange the charters and do all of that, and then so pulling it all together, securing the stadium, all the transportation, the hotels, etc., on a short notice, in making that decision, was probably the most challenging logistical opportunity around this game that we had with year one. After that, it became smooth sailing.
So how excited were you for it to come to Atlanta?
Um, to be to be totally candid with you and your viewers, I was actually nervous,
Okay.
because the reality is that prior to that, the game had sort of struggled a little bit, which is why it was in Orlando, and then we moved it to campuses. And if the reality is, for events that are going to grow, they have to be stable. They have to be at a destination. So we raised our hand to say, hey, let us have the game in Atlanta, and because we believe that bringing it here and connecting it to the Celebration Bowl, Cricket Celebration Bowl, or Celebration Bowl at the time, connecting it as as a bookend, and that wasn't new to us. I mean, the Chick-fil-A kickoff game and the Chick-fil-A Bowl had already created a blueprint of having a start of the season which they play in week one, and an end of the season with the Chick-fil-A Bowl. And Gary Stokan, who is the executive for that, is a very good friend. I've known Gary for many years and have had numerous conversations with him, and he was gracious enough to talk about how it works and how to put it together. So we somewhat had a roadmap and a blueprint, and believe that following that would be beneficial for both games, and it's turned out to be the case.
So you were nervous in the beginning. Now you see what what is grown out to. It gets pretty much like you said. Atlanta is a place of its own. So you got all everything that's built in.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, honestly, I didn't know the game. You said the game struggled like some. I never knew that. I never could see that. But I think it made sense once you look at the bigger picture of seeing start here, end here. It makes all the sense. It makes all the sense in the world. But with it being played on campuses, I don't think I really. I guess I could see some struggle with that. But start here, end here makes a lot of sense. Now, if you're being honest, John, what event are you looking most forward to?
During the weekend,
Yes.
the game.
Yes.
I am excited about that because, again, let me take the idea that I'm not talking about we as ESPN, I'm talking about we as our entire HBCU community, that we have a property, a game that kicks off not just HBCU football, but that's in prime time to kick off all of college football. The fact that we're on a major network, which is one of the biggest stages out there. The fact that this game, as I mentioned earlier, is the most watched game played on American soil in week zero. And we have to let that soak in a moment. That in the spirit of all of college football, that we're the second most watched game on that day, but the most watched game played in America. That is absolutely mind blowing for our HBCU athletic programs when you think about from whence we came. And right now have more HBCU games being televised than we ever have in the history of our existence, and that creates a huge opportunity as we create the kind of content we do to also educate and expose our universities and the value that they bring, and the product that they produce, not just on the field athletically, but more importantly, educationally, to the nation.
And so you make some good points here. So I want to jump back into this two-part question. What do you think this does for HBCU athletics as a whole? And then what do you think it does as far as recruiting? Because this could be used as a recruiting tool. We know athletics is always a heavy push, even if it's the smallest on your campus. It's always a recruiting tool. That and bands, we're just gonna be honest. That and bands are gonna always be recruiting tools. What do you think games like this do for HBCU athletics, for those players, and then what do you think it does for recruitment?
And Keisha, you make a great point there, and I think without question, I always start with the saying that if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, did it fall? So if you have great athletic programs and no one sees them, do you have them? And so because this game, as I mentioned before, is in prime time Saturday, 7:30 p.m. on a major network television, gives the opportunity to let people know that the tree did fall. Not only did they hear it, but they saw it. And so, from a recruiting point of view, I listened to coaches at both media days, the MEAC and SWAC. Had a great opportunity today on YouTube to watch Coach Gray give an interview on campus at Southern University, where he did a really in-depth analysis of the team and the players that he has, and that I think he said 7 of the 9 freshmen that he has recruited were on championship teams, played on championship teams in Louisiana. You think about that. And they chose to come to Southern University.
Correct.
Because they had the opportunity to see Southern University on television. But it also helps not only with student athlete recruiting, the bigger compartment of that is student recruiting. And so most HBCUs now have waiting lists. I mean, they have more interest than they have capacity to accommodate the students in terms of housing and so forth. So that is what the real benefit is. Because at the end of the day, more than athletics, for the university as a whole, the money's in students because they're paying tuition, and it's a
Correct.
rolling number. To give you an example, Drake University did a study and on the impact of athletics on Division I then football. And the part that I remember with the study they did was it was a part on Alabama, that when Nick Saban came to Alabama, 27% of their incoming freshman class were out-of-state students, paying 2.5 times more than in-state students. Well, by 2016, he had won 3 national championships. And by that time, 63% of the incoming freshman class were out-of-state students, paying 2.5 times more than in-state students. And when he retired from Alabama, the student body population had grown by had grown in additional new students by 15,000 additional new students from the time that he came until the time that he retired with a winning football program. So athletics has an impact broader than just the recruitment of athletes, but especially athletics if it's televised. And all these games, I just saw today that SIC or yesterday announced their television schedule and the number of games that they have televised. I know the same thing happens with the CIAA, the same thing with the MEAC. So young people now are getting to see HBCUs through their athletic programs, and now because of that exposure, you have an interest in attending.
And I think that's very important because, like you said, now we're able to see it across the it's been a long time coming too. And even when you spoke about how it used to be on ESPN too, now you bring it to ABC, it's continuing to grow. And so what we see is we start here and then we'll go over to Celebration Bowl, which is, everybody's played their hearts out throughout the season, and everybody done beat up on each other. And now everybody's trying to make it back to Atlanta for December 13th for Celebration Bowl. Again, we know MEAC SWAC, there's somebody, they're selected, but you got to play and win to make it back for December 13th. And as we all know, Jackson State are the reigning champs, came in last year. Last year was definitely their year. They did their thing. Hats off to Coach T.C. Taylor and his staff, and those guys, they really did what they need to do to get here to handle business. So now we go through the year, and now it's time to prepare for Celebration Bowl. What does that look like?
Well, it's a never-ending process, Keisha. Very good question, because everything sort of overlaps. We're planning for Celebration Bowl right now.
At the same time.
At the same time. As a matter of fact, we start that started in the summer, where we're starting to put the pieces into place, because we announced the bowl game at the kickoff game. So you're
Okay.
going to see the promo. You'll see the promos, everything that we're doing behind the scenes to prepare tickets to go on sale, which that'll happen in mid-September. So all of
Mm-hmm.
that's being planned right now. Sponsorships, sales, and planning is going on for that game right now, and so everything sort of connects, and one feeds off the other. And you'll see that when we get to Celebration Bowl, we start promoting the 2026 Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge kickoff game. And in between those two is the Red Lobster Band of the Year. So our team stays very busy year round. And it's funny because I do get the question when people ask me, well, what do you do the rest of the year? As though we just almost show up on the weekend and the game is already prepared and we just do that and it's over. But all of these are year round efforts.
And it is. So if you think about, and that's a lot of, even one game is a heavy lift. One game alone is a heavy lift. So when you add in two games, start here, end here, that's a heavy lift. But you brought up the Red Lobster. You talked about the battle. Let's talk about the bands. Let's talk about this event because this is going into what, year 3? We're going into year 3.
Year 3, yes.
Year 3. I remember year 1 and year 2 because I was there for both. So now we're going into year 3. People love bands. If you're a band head, you love bands. Now, y'all, I listen to bands, but I'm not one of those people that's going to fall out and just do all that extra stuff over bands. I'm just not. Talk about the excitement behind that particular event.
Well, we've been actually working on this since about 2016 to get to a point where in 2016, the concept was brought to ESPN about doing a national championship for HBCU marching bands. And we realized there were some steps we had to take because nothing like this had ever been done before. And the first thing we had to do was to make sure that we were able to get the support of the band directors, because now you're talking about a major adjudication and season-long competition, and then raising that to an actual on the field championship. So we started out working with, which was the undefeated at the time, it's now Anscape, and introducing band rankings. And so we started by just let's rank the bands to get fans adjusted and fans, because keeping in mind, I heard you refer to this as a battle of the bands, but it's not that. I do want to be clear. Battles of the bands, which are great for us, they're great for our institutions. Battles of bands are invitationals and showcases, which is awesome for our band program. This is a competition with a road to a championship. So it's a season long, meaning your halftime shows matter. And we have a committee of band experts that evaluate and through an adjudication process, six categories, Keisha. You got precision, you got musicality, you got your drum line, you have your drum majors, you have your ancillary groups, which are your dancers and your flag corps, and then there's a category called general effect. That is how are the fans responding to your performance. And the beautiful thing is band directors get to submit, they submit their show that they want the committee to evaluate. And they do that. And from that, we put out a ranking each month. The goal is, and that's for Division 2 and Division 1. There's a double track, as you well know. The goal is at the end of the season, you want to get to the top 2. Those 4 bands are the 4 that earn the right to come to Atlanta and to compete in a 15-minute show with the committee and adjudicators here. Fans are involved, as you well know. And out of that, in that 15-minute show, they're adjudicated against those criteria I mentioned before. And from that, a winner, a national champion is crowned. But the beautiful part of it, Keisha, is the bands, when you make it to Atlanta, there is a huge payout that goes directly to the band program. that's into the six figures, that we pay each band program, whether you're Division I and Division II, which is more than they get for participating anywhere, as it relates to the payout that we provide at ESPN. And plus, the event is televised as well on ESPN Plus and ESPN3.
So now, wait, is that for? Let me make sure I understand it. You're saying all of them get it, or is it just like the ones that actually win?
No, if you make it to Atlanta, you get paid.
Oh wow!
So both of them get the same amount of money. When your Division Ones get paid out, and the Division II gets paid out. What they're competing for, though, is that championship trophy, which is the same thing that happens with a bowl game.
Correct.
So teams that come to the Celebration Bowl, as you well know, they both get the same amount of money. So what you want the title of national champion.
Correct.
So that within itself, you monetize that too.
So now, what would you say is the long-term vision? Because I know this is still growing. What is the long-term vision of this event?
I would tell you that event is going to be bigger than the Celebration Bowl. It's going to be bigger because it includes all four conferences. That all four conferences and what I call the independents. So not only the SIAC, CIAA, MEAC, and SWAC, but those HBCUs like Tennessee State, Hampton, North Carolina A&T that are HBCUs but are part. We call them independents. And any other schools that are, whether they're in the NAIA or there's one of the conferences that I can't remember right now.
HBCUAC.
Yes. If you're a part of those, you still have an opportunity to participate. So as you can see, it's all inclusive. And as this continues to grow, the reason, and you see this big, beautiful stadium behind me, which is MEAC SWAC Challenge. I want fans to take a good look at that because Southern and North Carolina Central will produce that. But the idea around music, we all love music. Everybody loves HBCU bands, whether you went to one or not. Everyone likes to see them perform, and so they're the heartbeat of our institutions as well, and creating an opportunity for them to have a path to a championship. And I'll, it was a beautiful thing for me to see that Florida A&M won the championship this year. Miles College, they bought championship rings for the band members. Last year, North Carolina A&T won. They bought championship rings for their band members, and to see those band members walking around with their championship rings on, just like football players do, it's a game changer. And then the final part of this, Keisha, is what it does downstream. So now your hype, if you got that, now if you notice, last year we introduced the Hype Metro Atlanta High School Band of the Year. So we had the top two, the 20 metro counties in Atlanta, and we had the top two bands from each county, and they also competed on their way up season long to get to Atlanta, and they too got the two bands, Southwest DeKalb and Jonesboro High, who made it. They too got a payout, with Jonesboro being crowned national champion.
So without telling me, because I know you're not going to tell me if this is the case or not, are there any surprises we should be looking forward to? Any surprises that might pop up? Surprise appearances, surprise anything? I know you're not going to tell me anyway, but I'm asking anyway.
That's a good question. Our point is you have to always be there. We want to create that FOMO moment, which is fear of missing out. Because I do have some surprises coming up for the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge kickoff game, and we're lining up a really big one for this year's Cricket Celebration Bowl because of the 10th anniversary. So you don't want to miss out. Let me put it that way.
So is it lined up for me, or is this for all the fans? It's lined up for all the fans. I thought I was separate.
All the fans.
It sounds like and it's funny because Now for Celebration Bowl, I think I might have been. Yeah, I remember that. I've been there since inception. So I still remember that first Celebration Bowl with North Carolina A&T and Alcorn.
Mm.
I've been there since that inception, so it will be good to see. Wow, a 20-year and a 10-year. That's crazy.
It will be. And, one of the things that when we talk about that game, I mean, there have been some tremendous moments, games that gone down to the wire during the Celebration Bowl. Jackson State in 2023 dropping a pass in the end zone to lose the game to North Carolina Central. But also in that game, that tremendous catch by Travis Hunter with no time left on the clock to tie the game and send it into overtime. And that first game, you just recall, I mean, think about that. Tariq Cohen ran for 295 yards, literally. He was the impact player that really put the Celebration Bowl on the map with that just unbelievable performance. I mean, you just go down the list. Grambling beating North Carolina Central
Remember that
6-9, and with Central scoring with just a few with seconds left on the clock, and then getting a penalty.
Yeah, the celebration penalty though.
Celebration penalty, which broke the internet, which allowed Grambling to take the penalty at the point after, and then block the point after to go on and win. So there are moments in that game, just like there are moments in this game. And the greatest one for me for MEAC SWAC Challenge was in 2021, which was having College Game Day here, having Good Morning America here, having First Take here, and having ESPN's College Football Live. All were here in 2021 for that game with Alcorn and North Carolina Central. Which was the game changer. That was the first year that we moved the game to week 0. And that was a great way for ESPN to show its support, which they did, was to move that game at that point, to put it on ESPN, to put us in an afternoon time slot, to be led in with a lead in by, the biggest college sports program in the country, which was College Game Day.
So this is so funny. That's why I told people, I be like, me and John been on this ride together. I feel like we've been on the ride together. I was at College Game Day, and I remember doing that during that time. And then the news interviewed me for doing that. So I just, all of these things, that's crazy. Like, it's like the time is going so fast, but it's so many things that have happened during that time, like in this time, the 10-year and the 20-year stretch. So John, what would you say, how do you guys continue to keep eyes on the MEAC SWAC Challenge, the importance of it? How do you continue to keep viewers engaged? Hey, we have this game on. How do you continue to keep the eyes and the viewership rising to keep people wanting to watch this game?
Well, it's all about innovation. I mean, we're constantly looking to how we can innovate in delivering content to our fans, whether they're in person or they're watching. So we operate from this perspective that we don't put on football games. We create content, and that content is for the network to broadcast to viewers. That content is for the consumption of fans who show up. And it begins for us as we evaluate every year at the point, Keisha, that you decide, I want to go to that. How then are we creating an experience for you that is easy for you to access information, that when you go to our website, there's something there that's appealing, that you don't just go and leave. And our website, we have to say, we get an immense amount of traffic to that it becomes a one-stop shop for you. You can get your tickets. You can get information. You can get history of the events. You can find out what's going on. There's information of our partners. So everything right there for you. And we're constantly redesigning that. So we did a total redesign of the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge website this year, and a total redesign of the Celebration Bowl website this year to keep it fresh. So innovation is the word that we keep at the forefront. How can we innovate to make sure that we're doing 3 things? 1, that we create a world-class, second-to-none experience for the student athletes who participate. Number two, that we create a world-class, second-to-none experience, Keisha, for the fans who come. If they take the time to spend their money to be engaged, we want them to be able to walk away and say, wow, this is an experience that I don't have anywhere else. And then the third thing is a world-class, second-to-none experience for the fan who watches. So that when they turn on the television, that they're seeing a top-tier presentation of a game with great storytelling, that's competitive on the field, that it looks like that they're watching any major game. So ESPN makes a huge commitment to both of these games. I mean, we're going to have up to 8 cameras at this game, inclusive of Skycam. So
I need to make sure I look good that day, huh? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. But then on top of that, we also want to make sure that we create a that same experience for the media,
right.
Because they're the ones who tell the story. Are we creating the right kind of access? Do we show the media the kind of world-class experience at this game, again, that they don't get anywhere else? That is top-level treatment, that they have all the tools that they need, that we feed them, that we make sure that they have all, everything that they need to be able to walk away going, wow, this was not only a great game, but it was a good experience for me too.
So now I just so happen to see this flyer on my thing. The week, I don't know if you probably can't see his fade out. That's the week of wonderment that John is talking about. We see Southern in this corner, North Carolina Central. It's going to fade in and out, but that's the game he's talking about. It's always a good thing because now it's partnered up. So you get a week long, basically, of events and everything that's coming down from Wednesday or whatever on. You got so many things. And I think one of my favorite things always, you said the game for you, mine is always like the community service that the athletes do. That is always my favorite thing when they get here and they get to be exposed to the different things like let's say like the College Football Hall of Fame and the different things that they get to do. I love to see when athletes actually do that part of thing. They take part in the community to do the community things that oftentimes, a lot of people don't get to do. So now we know that we got some exciting things coming. We know the bands are coming. We know the football is set. We know the sponsors are set. They said shout out to the Atlanta HBCU Alumni Alliance.
Yes.
Is what they're saying. Kyle T. Mosley is saying good evening. Y'all know I give Kyle the hardest time. Of everybody I talk to, Kyle gets it hard for me. Nobody else gets it as hard as Kyle does. And so as you continue to grow partnerships, continue to grow this marketing and this strategy, is there anything in particular that you want we know the story from the media has to be told. Is there anything that you want more to be told from the media?
Well, listen, we actually have at our fingertips a gold mine. And that gold mine starts the season, and the other part of the gold mine ends the season. The Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge and the Cricket Celebration Bowl are by far the 2 largest, and I'm talking when you think total live audience. See, we've measured largesse by attendance because for so many years we didn't have television. Well, major programs, Division I, Power 5, have been using the power of television for decades. We're just now entering the space. But when you think of total live audience, meaning if I use, say, the Cricket Celebration Bowl, the Cricket Celebration Bowl just last year had over 2.4 million viewers, peaking at 2.7. Well, think about this. What venue is there in the world that can hold 2.7 million people? There isn't one. So when you look at the total live audience of that game and the total live audience for Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge, which last year was at 1.3 million, peaked at 1.6 million, and being the second most watched, there aren't any other um, HBCU games played that come close to those two in the total reach and
Right.
live audience that we have. Now, are there some that have more in stadium? Yes, but we don't. The reality is, you want to have a full stadium like
Mm-hmm.
this one behind me. But
Mm-hmm.
let me tell you what that really means. It's cosmetic.
Mm-hmm.
When Michigan puts 100+ thousand people in their stadium, it looks really good on television.
Mm-hmm.
But then when their viewership is 12 to 14 million people, it just that 12 to 14 that 100,000 makes the 12 to 14 million watch, because no one wants to watch a game that has an empty stadium in it.
Right.
So the reality is, do you need fans? Yes. Do you want the in-person experience? Yes. Do you need to constantly do things to make sure that that experience is enhanced? Without question. But what you also need, and why you guys tell the story, is not everyone can come, but everyone can watch. So we want to continue to grow the viewership, because in growing the viewership, that's where the real opportunities are to monetize and to bring more money back in the form of payouts to our HBCU programs. So we tell people, if you come into the game, if you can't make it to the game, watch it. If you're busy and you can't sit down, you know what? You can use this and turn your television on. And if you come into the game, turn your TV on anyway, or have it timed to come on, because all those numbers count.
So, John, personally, for you, if you can think of one moment, and you may not have one, you may have multiple, what would you say is one of the most rewarding moments for you as executive director?
Wow. I have a lot of them. I can really think of two.
Okay.
Um, and the first one was at the first at the first Celebration Bowl, to be able to walk up on the stage and hand the trophy to the coach of my alma mater was like a dream. I mean, I could not have written that would have been the case. To be brought onto ESPN with 109 days to get a bowl game up, and then in that first bowl game, you're handing the trophy to your alma mater, was like mind blowing. Um, I think the other one, which is probably more touching to me than the first, was a conversation I had with one of the student athletes who participated in the game, and told me what they had never been to Atlanta, had never been outside of their community other than play the games that they went to play, but to be able to come here and have this experience, crying while we were having a conversation, and how it literally changed his life. That was the most touching thing for me, to know that what we are doing, not just us, all of us, all of all of us, whether you play in this game or not, is still owned by us. This is our Super Bowl. Now, Commissioner Goodell will give me a hard time if he heard me use that word, because he told me on the sidelines of the 2022 game, hey, you can't call this a Super Bowl. I get it, but I'm going to break that rule now. This is our Super Bowl. And it's you guys who are in the media, those like you, those whose names you call Kyle and others, who keep the lights on. And you guys kept the lights on when no one was looking and no one was really paying attention. But the biggest moment for us for this is becoming an actual member of bowl season, which was an official member of the bowl organization. And they changed their bylaws so that the Celebration Bowl could become a member, which was my third moment, because once they did that, then they closed the door behind them, that there would be no other FCS bowl games that are a part of the official bowl season. So we all of us hold a very unique place in the bowl ecosystem. and the fact that we're first, that we open the season, and that we open all of college football. We can't take that lightly. Whether I am in this seat or not, I would tell us, because we plan, Keisha, not just for this year's game and next year's game. This is for 50 years from now. This is for 100 years from now. The reality is that this is our watch and we're on it. And what will happen, we don't ever want this to go the way of the Heritage Bowl or any other bowl that has been a predecessor of the Celebration Bowl. And there have been a few that have not made it. But if this one doesn't make it, it will be on us. And if it doesn't, it would be a criminal act almost, that we would have allowed something that has so much potential, that has such a great impact on the entire HBCU system. Because all these games that are being televised right now are because of the Celebration Bowl. Because it was demonstrated that it can be done, that there was an interest. And because you all kept the lights on about how important it was.
And I'm listening to you tell the first time I met you, the first story I heard you tell. Now, y'all hearing the Celebration Bowl and the cricket MEAC SWAC challenge. The first story I heard John tell was how HBCU football got started.
That's correct.
That was when you were at our event. That's the first story I heard. And from that point, it's like it just kind of stuck. And I love sports history. That's one of my things. But hearing that story and seeing the pieces of the puzzle actually connect to it and seeing where we are now, it's always been a vision of mine for us to get to TV. That's our thing. We need the exposure. And like you said earlier, it's so many to see all of us, D1, D2, no matter, we're all getting the TV time now. All getting the TV time. I think I want to say September 11th. Clark Atlanta they get the prime time on a Thursday night. They get the prime game. And I want to say, are they playing at Albany State? I think, but then you get a prime time game on ESPN in Atlanta. That, never would have thought that, but to see that happen right now, and we just see the trajectory of these other games, like you said, this bowl game, you see the trajectory of these games just growing. One thing you slid in there, and I didn't forget it. 109 days to put a bowl game together. That's a lot. That's a lot to do in a short amount of time. It's not like a lot of time, but 109 days is not a lot of time.
It wasn't, and you keep in mind when I was by myself. Didn't have didn't have a computer or email address or anything for the first 30 days of that 109 days. So, but God is good. This was bigger than John Grant. It was, God had a plan, and all we had to do was just be committed. Didn't get a lot of sleep. Did a lot of praying along the way. Was nervous a lot because you don't know, but I had a lot of help too, because like I said, ESPN was committed. So they brought people in. There was a team effort, and I have to thank the team in Charlotte, Stephanie Grant, who was just amazing to help me along the way, and the other members of the Charlotte team. But think about it today, with not only ESPN carrying games, you got HBCU Go carrying games, and the big news with the SWAC launching SWAC TV, and with what Dr. McClellan is doing there, that's going to be revolutionary as it relates to now. SWAC TV is going to carry over, I believe, if I'm saying this right, there were over 40 games. So every SWAC football game, every single one will be televised this year. Every single game. That is amazing for the impact that all of this has, and no telling where this will go from here. So we have a lot to be proud of. We have a lot to be thankful for, standing on the backs of those men who played that first game December 27th in 1892. Homemade uniforms, spikes in their shoes on a snowy field on the front lawn of Livingston College. From there to here. So the question for us is, from here to where? From here to where? And, you know, you bringing me on today gives us the opportunity to tell the story, and you and every one of your colleagues, all of you who talk about this on a regular basis, who mention the names of the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge, the Cricket Celebration Bowl, Red Lobster Band of the Year, all the classic games, whether it's Bayou, Magic City, Soul Bowl. You go all through all of them, the Boombox, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there were too many of them for me to name them all, but they all have value. But the reality is, at the Division I level, all of them are on the road to Atlanta. So before in the past, if you could have a decent season as long as you beat your rival, you'd be okay as a coach. Today, if you don't win, you know,
you're gonna have a job.
Isn't long. Think about that. Mr. Robinson over at Alabama State is the longest tenured coach in the SWAC.
Right.
And what is he, like 4 years, 5 years, something like that?
Right.
So, and you got the same thing in the MEAC with Trey Oliver. He's the longest tenured coach in the MEAC now.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Oh, Cody said, thank you for the love from HBCU Go TV. I was wondering if he was still listening, but he did say thank you for the love. They do. They put out a quality product. I absolutely love HB. I still go back and watch old football games and stuff from last season. Like, I don't know the result, but, you know, I still go back and watch the basketball and the football.
But look, here's the reality. Everybody plays a role. Mm-hmm. You got ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS, etc. So, and they all are playing a role in delivering content along with the other networks. So there's plenty of room out there for everyone to be able to add value.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, the beneficiaries are the institutions who are able to have their programs shown on television. Now, my last statement on this, Keisha, I had a really great conversation, President of Morgan State at the MEAC Media Day. And I asked him a question, which is that, tell me a television program that comes on Saturdays, pretty much every Saturday, and does a 3-hour program on the School of Engineering. There isn't one.
Right.
But every Saturday during the football season, there's a 3-hour program on a university that's advertising and talking about and telling stories about the importance of that university through its athletic program. And that's the power that we all, when I say we, I'm talking ESPN, I'm talking HBCU Go, I'm talking now SWAC TV, and I'm talking every other network that's carrying our content and distributing our content and telling our stories.
And it is so refreshing. It is so refreshing to hear from you, for you to share the story, for you to continue to tell the story. You know, your job is so much bigger than the title. And so with you being in the position that you're in, you also tell the story. You also tell the story. You carry the story. You're going from conference to conference. So you're carrying the story and you're telling the story every single time with games like this, with the challenge, with a bowl game. You continue, and the things just continue. You add the bank upon it. So things are just growing and growing and growing. And so before we get out of here, you got to tell the people where to go to find all this. Oh, well, before we go, I got two things. First, I got to say I love that shirt. That's the first thing. I love the shirt.
Is it 20 years?
It doesn't. Oh, God, y'all got a 20-year shirt. Y'all should sell those. Y'all should sell a 20-year edition shirt.
You see that? You spoiling my surprise.
Oh, okay. See, y'all, you shouldn't even have to tell me. Okay, that was one thing. So they're gonna be selling the 20-year edition shirts. Just let me know where to find it so I can make sure I get the smallest one. Be ready to purchase. But nevertheless, tell us where we can find all this great stuff, because everybody got to know where to go to purchase tickets. They got to know where to go on this website to see all the stuff. I know where everything is, but I want you to tell it.
So if you visit MEACSWACchallenge.com, that's MEACSWACchallenge.com. It's a one-stop shop for everything. Information, you can purchase your tickets. If you're trying to buy a suite, all of those things that you looking for any activities and events that are going on, everything is right there at that one location. That's MEACSWACchallenge.com.
Yeah, he says sweets. That's for the people with the money. Listen, I'm the media, so that ain't gonna be me. That ain't gonna be me. I ain't gonna be in no sweets. We gonna be in the press box, okay? Make no mistake.
Don't y'all let that fool you guys, because we sure make sure that press box is well appointed. So she'll be doing okay.
It is. It's always a great time, especially when you get us all together, y'all. It's a great time. I'm excited to see everybody again. I'm excited to see AD Drew this time. Of course, I loved Michelle Jinks, done a wonderful job. And now you got Lavasha. So you got a lot of good people in the circle. I love it. So I'll say thank you again, John, for joining me. I appreciate it so much. It wasn't that hard to get you this time. It really wasn't hard at all. I just give you all the trouble. I give you all the trouble whatsoever. But thank you so much. And of course, I will see you again before the game. I'm sure I'll talk to you again before then. If anything comes up, let me know. But until then, travel safe, be well, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Keisha.
Thank you.
God bless you.
You too. Bye-bye.